You can't always tell what someone's relationship past looks like just by looking at them. But sometimes you can sense it in the way she carries herself. It's not about a number, it's about a pattern. How she speaks about love, how she handles intimacy, how she defines loyalty. Those things always leave clues. And for some women, after too many short-term connections, real emotional connection stops feeling natural. It starts feeling like effort. They've experienced a lot of touch, but not a lot of true closeness. So you get a woman who appears confident on the outside, but is quietly detached on the inside. This isn't here to shame women, it's here to protect you. Because when you confuse emotional flatness for maturity, you end up trying to build something real with someone who's already emotionally exhausted from giving access too easily, too often. Before we get into it, do me one quick favor. Like the video, subscribe to No Contact Signal, and let's bring clarity back to men who value peace over chaos. Let's begin. 1. She's emotionally numb, and you feel it immediately. There's something in her presence that doesn't reach you. She can smile, flirt, kiss you, even say all the right lines. But you can tell there's no real warmth behind it. That's what repeated casual connections can do. When someone gives their body and emotions away over and over, the heart doesn't open the same way. Each time, a little depth gets traded for experience, and eventually, it adds up. Now, she doesn't fall in love. She recycles patterns. She doesn't bond, she performs. When a woman is emotionally numb, she can still give you a good experience, but she can't give you a real bond. You'll notice it in the small moments, the moments that usually create closeness. When you open up, she changes the subject. When you're quiet, she doesn't lean in, she just watches. When you pull back a little, she doesn't miss you, she just moves on. And that is the danger. You start working for a feeling that never arrives. If you love harder and she'll finally feel safe. If you prove yourself, she'll finally choose you. But numbness doesn't respond to effort, it responds to stimulation. And if she needs stimulation to feel alive, you will spend the relationship performing for her attention. So here's your move. Do not try to earn warmth from someone who can only perform warmth. Watch what happens when you stop entertaining and start requiring presence. And that brings us to the next sign, because it's not just her emotions, it's how she treats intimacy itself. 2, she treats intimacy casually, and it shows. With some women, intimacy has weight. There's a pause before it happens, a sense of meaning. With her, it's quick, easy, almost automatic. She'll talk about it too comfortably, like it's just another topic. She'll joke about it, overshare it, or describe it like it's routine. And when it happens between you two, it can feel smooth, but strangely empty. Not because she's bad at it, but because she's disconnected from it. After too many times, the mind separates touch from closeness. The body remembers the steps, but the heart isn't in the room. And that's why you might feel a weird contradiction. She can be affectionate, but not attached. She can be physical, but not present. She can give you the moment, but never the meaning. Some men call that confidence, but confidence has softness in it. Desensitization has speed, so don't get hypnotized by how effortless it is. Ask yourself one simple question. Does intimacy bring you closer? Or does it leave you feeling more alone? Because if intimacy doesn't build connection, it builds appetite. And appetite always wants more. And when a woman is trained to chase appetite, loyalty becomes hard to sustain. 3, she can't stay loyal for long. Not always because she's evil, and not always because she wants to hurt you, but because her nervous system is trained for newness. You'll see it in her history. There's always a new chapter, a new story, a new ex she learned a lesson from, and somehow, the pattern never gets questioned. Only the faces change. At first, she'll be intense. She'll make you feel chosen. She'll lock in fast. Talk about destiny. Talk about how different you are. But once the novelty fades, something shifts. She gets restless. She starts craving space. She starts talking about freedom, independence, needing to find herself. And what she really means is this. Calm feels unfamiliar. Because if she's used to short connections, long commitment feels like suffocation. Stability feels like boredom. And loyalty feels like a cage. So she keeps one foot out, she keeps options around. Not always physically, sometimes emotionally. Little conversations, little attention loops, little backups in the shadows. And if you call it out, She frames you as insecure. She says you're controlling, and she says you're overthinking, but you're not overthinking. You're noticing patterns. Here's the warning, and it's painful. You can't build a forever with someone who is emotionally trained for temporary. So the boundary is simple. Do not compete with ghosts. Do not negotiate for commitment. Require consistency, and watch what happens when she realizes the chase is over. Now the next sign is one most men miss, because it looks like maturity. 4. She's overly skilled at handling men. When a woman has dealt with many male dynamics, she starts moving like she's already seen your script. Not because she's psychic, but because she's practiced. She knows when to be sweet. She knows when to pull away. She knows how to say just enough to keep you thinking, and just little enough to keep you chasing. Pay attention to how fast she adapts. You mention a value, she mirrors it. You mention a fear, she reassures it. You mention a standard, she agrees with it, then slowly test how serious you are. And it can feel incredible at first. You think, finally, someone who gets me. But there's a difference between understanding you and managing you. Over time, this becomes automatic. She doesn't even think about it. She's learned that men respond to certain cues, certain moods, certain pushes and pulls. So she plays patterns instead of building something real. And that's why you might feel tired around her without knowing why. Because you're not relating, you're reacting. You're constantly reading the room, constantly adjusting, constantly trying to stay in position. Here's the test. When you stop responding, does she come closer with honesty, or does she create tension to regain control? Because a woman who wants you will choose clarity. A woman who wants control will choose confusion. And the next sign connects everything we've covered so far, because it explains what she's really chasing, as it isn't love, it's attention. 5. She's addicted to male attention. Not just compliments, not just flirting. Attention becomes her fuel. When she's used to constant attention, silence feels like rejection. No messages, no likes, no check-ins. And she starts feeling invisible. So she keeps a stream of little signals alive. A selfie designed to pull attention. A reply that stays slightly open. Old connections that never fully die. And you will notice this, even when she's with you. There's always someone orbiting. Always a backup conversation. Always a reason to stay reachable. Because deep down she confuses attention with worth. And that is where men get trapped. You try to give her peace, and she calls it boring. You stop chasing her for one day, and she starts pulling away. Not because you did something wrong, but because calm doesn't stimulate her. Chaos does, so here is the boundary. Do not become her entertainment. Do not reward attention games with more attention. Give consistency, not obsession. Give leadership, not chasing. Then watch carefully. If she values you, she will adjust. If she values attention, she will punish you with distance until you perform again. And that leads into the next sign, because attention addiction doesn't exist alone. It comes with an environment that feeds it. 6. Her friend's circle mirrors her past. You can learn a lot about a woman by looking at the world she lives in. If the people closest to her celebrate flings, options, and hookups, then understand this. She's not just dating you. She's living inside an echo chamber. Listen to how her friends talk. Men are never partners, they're stories. Men are never chosen, they're tried. And the advice is always the same. Do what makes you happy. Keep your options open. Don't get attached. It sounds empowering, but it trains detachment. So when you come into her life with standards, you're competing with a culture that rewards short-term thrills. Here's the test. When her friends are around, does she become more respectful or more reckless? Does she protect the relationship? Or does she perform for the room? Because if her environment normalizes disrespect, you will spend the relationship fighting an entire lifestyle. So your move is simple. Look at what she celebrates. Look at what she calls normal. Because sooner or later, she will become what her circle keeps rewarding. Now the next sign is the one that tells you what's living underneath all of this. It's not confidence, it's residue. 7. She speaks about men with bitterness or arrogance. Pay attention to the way she talks about men in general, not just her ex. Men. If every story ends with men being disappointing, men being replaceable, men being the problem, that is not wisdom, that is armor. And armor feels powerful, but it comes from pain. Sometimes she'll say she's unbothered, she'll act like she doesn't need anyone. She'll talk like love is a game, and she's above it. But listen closely, Because beneath the sarcasm is exhaustion. Too many failed connections can train someone to believe that closeness is dangerous, that vulnerability is weakness, that trust is naive. So she chooses cynicism, because cynicism feels safer than hope. Here's the warning. A woman who expects men to disappoint her will eventually create the conditions for disappointment. Not always on purpose, but through attitude, testing, and distance. She keeps you at arm's length, then blames you for not reaching her. So your boundary is this. Do not try to prove yourself to someone who already decided what men are. Let her show you something different. Let her show you respect, without you earning basic decency. Because if she needs you to bleed to believe you, you will never have peace. And that brings us to the final sign, the one that ties every pattern together. Because it looks like growth, but it's often a loop. 8. She's always in a healing era. Every few months, she is healing. New quote, new lesson, new story about self-love, and from the outside it looks mature, it looks like she's evolving. But when you watch closely, it's the same cycle repeating. Hurt dash dash dash, detox dash dash dash, attention dash dash dash, new connection dash dash dash, hurt again. Healing becomes a reset button, not a transformation. She says she's focusing on herself, but there's always a new situation nearby, a work friend, a texting connection, a man who is just a friend, because stillness is uncomfortable. Stillness forces the truth to surface, and the truth is sometimes this. She doesn't know who she is without male energy around her, so she collects experiences to avoid emptiness, and that is why nothing lasts. Here's the reality. You cannot build peace with someone who only feels alive in chaos, and none of this means she is evil. It means she is tired of repeating the same patterns and calling it a new chapter. So don't hate her, recognize the pattern, because the pattern always repeats, until you stop rewarding it. Because awareness saves you from heartbreak, it saves your time, it saves your energy. If this hit home, like the video, subscribe to No Contact Signal, and share it with someone who needs clarity today. Because real masculinity is not about judging women, it's about protecting your peace, your time, and your future.